I am announcing my intention to step down as First Minister and leader of my party.
In a stunning turn of events, the Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon has announced her resignation following a months-long inquiry into her handling of sexual harassment allegations against her predecessor, Alex Salmond. While the exact cause of her departure is unclear, there is much speculation about why she felt compelled to step down and what the implications will be for Scotland's future. In this video, we'll take a closer look at the real reason Nicola Sturgeon had to go. So do subscribe to our Food History YouTube channel and like this video for more informational videos like this. Without any further delay, let's dive in. She was never the right person for the job. Nicola Sturgeon's tenure as the first female First Minister of Scotland came to an abrupt end earlier this year. Many have speculated on the reasons why she had to go, and one of the most commonly cited reasons is that she was simply never the right person for the job. Sturgeon, who first became leader of the Scottish National Party, SNP, in 2014, has long been a divisive figure in Scottish politics. During her time as First Minister, she focused heavily on independence, which has been a major issue in Scottish politics for decades. She was widely perceived to be more concerned with pushing her agenda than addressing the needs of all Scots, which alienated many voters. On top of that, Sturgeon was not seen as being particularly effective at getting things done in the Scottish Parliament. She often clashed with other parties, particularly the Conservatives, which made it difficult for any legislation to pass. This meant that progress in key areas like education, health, and transport stalled under her leadership. Ultimately, it was clear that Sturgeon was not the right person for the job, and it was time for a change. She was too divisive. Nicola Sturgeon's tenure as the leader of the Scottish National Party, SNP, was characterized by polarization and division. She had a tendency to stoke political tensions and create an atmosphere of mistrust between those with opposing views. Her refusal to compromise on certain issues, as well as her insistence on taking a hard-line stance, further exacerbated the situation and made it impossible for her to effectively govern. Her refusal to take a more centrist approach resulted in Scotland being further divided than ever before. This divide ultimately proved to be her undoing, as the electorate felt she was not willing to make the necessary compromises to bring the country together. The most significant example of this was her unwillingness to work with other parties in order to pass legislation. Despite having control of a majority government, she repeatedly rejected offers from other parties to collaborate, leaving major decisions stuck in limbo and unable to move forward. Her policies were unpopular. Nicola Sturgeon's policies were widely unpopular. She championed the independence movement for Scotland, something that not all of her constituents supported. She also proposed unpopular austerity measures in her budget, which aimed to cut public spending and services, making it difficult for many people to access the services they need. Her policies were widely seen as out of touch with the realities of everyday life in Scotland, and many people felt that she wasn't listening to their concerns. Additionally, her economic policies often ran counter to the European Union's regulations, making it difficult for Scotland to remain part of the Union. Ultimately, the unpopularity of her policies was a major factor in her resignation. Her attempts to bring about Scottish independence backfired when many Scots voted against leaving the UK in a referendum. This served as a strong rebuke against Sturgeon's leadership and made it clear that her vision for Scotland didn't align with what many people wanted. Furthering this, opposition parties argued against much of her legislative agenda, pointing out that her policies would only serve to harm the citizens of Scotland. The combination of these factors meant that support for Nicola Sturgeon had dwindled over time, and there was little chance that she would be able to survive another election campaign. She was ineffective. Nicola Sturgeon had been facing criticism for a while about her ability to lead Scotland. The Scottish National Party had a poor showing in the recent general election, and many felt that her leadership had been ineffective in delivering on their manifesto promises. Additionally, her tenure as First Minister saw little progress in reducing poverty or raising wages for workers, which had also been a key part of the SNP's agenda. Her inability to deliver meaningful change ultimately led to her departure. Sturgeon failed to inspire the people of Scotland and could not bring enough support to her party in the election, leading to her resignation. Critics have pointed out that Sturgeon put too much emphasis on independence, and this did not pay off electorally. Moreover, she was unable to build bridges between those who voted yes and no in the 2014 referendum, meaning she was unable to capitalize on the popular sentiment towards independence at the time. Despite this, she has remained unapologetic about her commitment to an independent Scotland, claiming it is the will of the people. She even went so far as to criticize Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who won a landslide victory in the December 2019 election by playing heavily on anti-independence sentiment. This certainly did not help the situation, and neither did her refusal to rule out another independence referendum before 2021. Many felt that her stubbornness showed a lack of willingness to compromise, making it difficult for any meaningful negotiations with Westminster to take place. In addition, critics highlighted the fact that public services were suffering under Sturgeon's leadership. Hospitals were overcrowded and schools lacked resources due to funding cuts made during her tenure. All these factors combined to make Nicola Sturgeon's position untenable, thus leading to her downfall. It was time for a change. The events of the past few years have shown that Nicola Sturgeon was not the right person for the job of First Minister of Scotland. The policies she pursued were divisive, unpopular, and largely ineffective. Even those who initially supported her saw that it was time for a change. The Scottish National Party's SNP popularity had plummeted due to the unpopularity of her policies, and her approval ratings had taken a nosedive in recent months. Sturgeon was seen by many as too hardline and uncompromising on issues, leaving little room for compromise or progress. This lack of progress made it difficult for her to move forward and implement any meaningful changes, leaving the country in a state of stagnation. In addition, her failure to tackle Scotland's most pressing issues, such as education, health, poverty, and inequality, left a sour taste in the mouth of the electorate. Her inability to deliver on the promises she made during her election campaign led to many feeling like she had let them down. The Scottish people had been waiting for a leader who could unite them and deliver real change for their country, something that Sturgeon failed to do. It was ultimately time for a new leader who could bring fresh energy, enthusiasm, and fresh ideas to the position of First Minister. What are your views on Nicola Sturgeon? Do you think she was a good minister? Let us know in the comment section below. See you in the next one.